Hello everybody, Striking Eyes over here, and in today's video we're going to have a dual commentary. Today's video is going to primarily focus on two main topics. Said topics being, 1. The Division's 1.4, 1.5 update, what they added, what I think about them, and more importantly, should you go back and play this game. And 2. My new upload schedule, which is a bit different to say the least. I'm definitely going to enjoy having fun trying to keep to that, and at least it will get me to upload regularly once a day at minimum, or once a day once a week absolute minimum, and every single day if I can get it to work fluently. Anyway, if you haven't played The Division recently and you missed the 1.4 and 1.5 update, I don't blame you. Mainly due to the fact that The Division previous to this updates was, I'm not going to lie, it was meh. It was honestly meh. To be honest, I almost refunded the game just because it didn't have any enough content to keep it going at launch. They fixed that fairly quick in the 1.1, 1.2 updates, and then but that wasn't enough because enemies were just too hard to kill. The game was way too grindy and just didn't feel right. So in 1.4, the developers were like, hey, let's fix that. To start with, they added in these new supply drops you can grab, which are nice. I just want to show us right off the bat because they used to only be in the Dark Zone in 1.3, I believe. However, they have been added in 1.4. To the PvE area, which is very nice to say the least because you can get some good gear. 1.4 also implemented the biggest change, which is probably the introduction of world tiers. World tiers are essentially like little playing grounds that host only certain types of players. Each world tier has certain gear score, and all the gear in that area will scale to the highest area of said gear score. So let's say you're in world tier 5 like I am, which is the absolute maximum, then you will effectively get every piece of gear at 256, which is the maximum gear score currently in the game, but that's not due to 1.4 update. We'll talk about that in a second. Also, 1.4 update was added in an extremely high chance to drop high-end and green items in higher world tiers. World tier 4 and world tier 5 have absurd, when I say absurd, I mean absurd chances to drop super rare items. As you're going to see here, I'm playing through one of the daily heroic motion missions, which have the same modifiers as normal. Challenging has a modified one, but I just get a yellow straight off the bat here, which is amazing. I also get something called field proficiency, which we'll talk about in later on. But that's actually interesting on its own right too. Now, 1.4 also did change a lot of the base mechanics of the game. As you can clearly see, enemies are significantly squishier, allowing me to do stuff like Queen Tunnel's Camp on challenging solo without any problem. My friend does join this video just to let you know. However, he joined because he was bored, had nothing to do, and not because I needed his help. He was just kind of like, hey, I'm not doing anything, can I join? And I was like, okay, I don't see why not. I mean, I'm recording at the moment. He was like, all right, well, hi YouTube, and I was like, okay, I'll convey your message. But anyway, that, again, was largely besides the point. 1.4 also did, as can clearly see, it changed the health mechanics, and it overall just made the game more of a shooter and less of a grind fest, which I always enjoy out of my games. Now, the challenge is still there for getting the best gear in the game because you still have to recalibrate your items into the perfect gear that you want. However, making builds and getting good weapons is significantly easier and more open to the public, which is a great move on the developers' part because now it's not so like high-end and elitist to get such a huge part of the game that they added in. Because previously they were basically just adding content for the hell of adding content. Now let's talk about the newest and most recent update, 1.5. To start with, the newest world tier has been added, world tier 5, which greatly increases gear score from the previous 229 to a maximum of 256. All gear in world tier 5 will drop at 256. However, we're going to talk about some things later on that have been removed from roles and just overall things that have changed in this 1.5 update. To start with, I'm going to tell you that your stash now can hold 150 items. Go grinding, my friends, because you have a lot of space to fill. Especially if you want to fill that before the next update, because I'm pretty sure it's rolling around soon. Also, survival was added in the 1.5 update, which is like Hunger Games in the Division put together, and I will say it's quite fun, but I just prefer it with friends. I cannot play this alone by myself. I just can't deal with it. It's a lot like Hunger Games, where you have to scavenge weapons, you have to scavenge items. There are enemies that will spawn at intervals that will give you better items and loot and gear. Gear can drop from the sky and supply drops. There's a lot of good stuff going on. Very fun, very nice, cool to play when you have friends. By yourself, though, it's a bit tedious and kind of annoying at times. NPCs, this is just a general rule of thumb. They can drop crafting materials now, so getting dailies with crafting materials can just be you slaughtering endless hordes of LMB in the higher world tiers, and not the super annoying, I'm going to go fast travel to this location and go look for 8 boxes of tools, though that is the more efficient way still. Stagger also, now if you didn't know, PvP does exist in Division, it's in the Dark Zone. However, it has always been kind of wonky. They've largely fixed it in update 1.5, and they fixed a lot of the exploits and more crazy things that were in the game. To start with, shotguns have just gone flat out nerfed. If you're using shotguns, sorry, but they're not nearly as viable as they used to be. They are still useful in terms of their stagger on players, but we'll talk about that in a bit. So let's begin with the biggest nerf to shotguns. Headshot damage decreased from 80% to 60%. This greatly removes the chance of you getting 2-shot or 1-shot, and essentially makes it extremely hard to deal massive damage with shotguns if you're aiming for the head, which before was the best way to deal said massive amounts of damage. Now, Pulse has also been nerfed, which slightly saddens me, but I can see why, and that was because previously Pulse was the go-to for PvP and PvE. It's still my go-to for PvE, and I still run it in PvP, but it is still nice and viable. However, it isn't as good as it used to be. The damage scaling has now been capped out to 30% maximum, and this was again made in an effort to stop from one-shot shotgunners just stacking absurd amounts of critical hit damage and headshot damage on you, and effectively one-shotting you into oblivion, which was absurdly annoying. Heroic incursions. Incursions, the things that I don't do anymore, and I'm pretty sure most of the community doesn't do unless they want a really rare weapon. The heroic or the highest difficulty is only available in World Tier 5, so keep that in mind. You cannot do it at World Tier 4 or World Tier 3. Also, by the way, the World Tiers are free, in case people were wondering. They aren't like paid DLC, which would be extremely annoying. All of them are free. So yeah. There's also a bunch of weapons added to the game and tons of new items. I like what the developers are trying to do here when they're making high-end items slightly more viable. There's a whole set of high-end yellow items that will give buffs exclusive to set bonus buffs that are extremely unique and very nice, actually. So start with, we have Pharaoh's Oxygen Mask, which is essentially just overpowered if you combine it with stuff like Fire Crest, or you're going up against someone with Fire Crest, because the entirety of that perk is, or the perk of that said mask is you can now shoot, reload, and sprint while on fire. So yeah, fire literally is just a dot on you at that point. It doesn't do anything to affect gameplay, which is insane to think about, because fire at the moment is extremely annoying to deal with, and without the stats effect removal from the support station in PvP, it can be a death killer. Knee pads are meh. It's short bow championship knee pads, and the grenades have a shortened fuse timer. This is again a meh one. If you like it, you like it. I personally don't. Gloves are Skull MC gloves. I have these, and when I'm not running a gear set, they are ungodly because they greatly increase the damage of your weapons by just a flat percentage. All weapons, doesn't matter what it is, and I think it also increases grenades and skills damage, if I'm not mistaken. But it just increases damage altogether when no set bonuses are active, and it's quite good for doing just that. Mine has 20%, and I think it maxes out at 25 or 30. The chest piece, backpack, and holster are all meh. The holster, it basically makes your sidearms far more powerful. However, sidearms aren't used very much. If you don't have something like the Golden Rhino, which was added in this game, or the R93, or 93R, then it's just kind of a meh. The chest piece is Barrett's bulletproof chest piece, and I actually like this one. I'm going for this one at the moment. When skills are on cooldown, you get a powerful buff to like everything, and it's insane. I'm pretty sure it's a small damage buff to guns, a buff to reload speed, and numerous other things, which is nice. And then the Ninja Bike Messenger, which it just is completely outrighted by the Banshee set. So yeah. Now I'm gonna quickly go over all the weapons. There are so many weapons that I don't have the time to go over all of them. like, there are that many new weapons that they add to the game. They added 12. I don't have time to review to tell you each one individually. Even though a lot of them are variations, they are still quite unique in their own ways. To start with, we have the MG5 variations, the light machine gun and infantry light machine gun. The MG5 fires at a fire rate of 800 rounds per minute, making it the fastest firing LMG in the game. Whew, trying to go fast here, I'm sorry. The Model 700 marksman rifle, all variations of that, with the other two variations being the M700 carbon and tactical. The 700 marksman does reload one bullet at a time and not through a cartridge, making it quite unviable in terms of reload time. So just keep that in mind. Converted USC submachine gun, which is the UMP except with 25 bullets instead of 30. The police UMP and the tactical UMP 45s, which are just kind of new SMGs to mess around with. Very high damage, slow rate of fire, a lot like an AK. And the new Rhino pistols, which are essentially just cool-ass looking revolvers that you can put attachments on. They also added 4 high-end named weapons that are awesome, and I want every single one. To start with, we have the Golden Rhino, which I ran into in PvP. I never want to run into again. Those things hurt. Critical strikes on that thing are insane. The damage is insane. And for a sidearm, especially when you combine it with the holster that I speaked earlier, I believe it's the Colonel's holster, it deals absurd damage. The Urban MDR, or the Blind Assault Rifle, which basically deals bonus damage on status effects. The Tommy Gun, and the Thompson M1928, which we all know what those are. We've all played Battlefield 1. We know what these guys, or not Battlefield 1, we've all played World at War. We all know what those guns are. If you don't, the Thompson is a submachine gun used at World War I. Not World War I, sorry. I am so sorry. I feel bad now. I'm a history buff. World War II. World War II by the Americans, and it shoots ungodly fast. It's a lot like its World War II counterparts. It's more modern, slightly more modernized for the game. However, it is still deadly as ever. And the Tommy gun is basically just that with a 50 drum mag, and I'm pretty sure you can't increase the clip size on that one. I'm not 100% sure, though. So I would have to get them to tell you the exact differences. Some smaller changes are that all LMGs scaling on their damage to targets that I covered has been reduced. Keep that in mind. Hip fire on all weapons has been reduced. From best to worst, it goes sniper rifles, light machine guns, assault rifles, SMGs, shotguns, and then pistols. So hip firing without aiming is no bueno and definitely a no-go now. Gear sets have been slightly tweaked. However, I personally just feel that the gear sets, like for the 1.5 gear set updates, is not as nearly as significant. Small things like final measure, like gives more grenades and stuff like that. Now we're going to review the cache system added with 1.4, which, if you don't know what it is, essentially you get like a supply crate, like opening crates, from where you can get high-end weapons, lots of items, depending on what type of crate cache it is. These caches are earned very easily through just straight up playing the game, or through doing the numerous challenges that you can do. You can get some really, really powerful weapons. As you can see here, I got the highest gear score in the game. I got the perks on them were meh. The SASG 12 wasn't that bad. I actually think I kept it. But the other weapons, they were meh, so I did delete them. But you can get very, very good weapons from these. I've gotten numerous weapons, and it's actually how one of my friends got his Urban Assault MDR weapon. Now we're going to quickly talk about how vendors now will scale to your gear score in terms of high-end gear. Here you can see this vendor selling a FAMAS. This is done, sorry. This one's selling a black market AK-47. Very powerful weapon, very nice. It is very interesting to see how these weapons have changed. That's all for today's video in terms of the Division update. However, I will, if you do want to stick around, I'm going to quickly go over my new upload schedule. So basically, every Monday is going to be ARC Mondays. I thought, ARC, hey, that sounds cool. So why not do that? Every Monday, I'm going to be posting a series on, or a video on my ARC in-depth series. I'm going back to that. Don't worry, it wasn't just a one-time deal. I want to get back into ARC. I love that game. It's just I haven't had a reason to, and that definitely will give me said reason. And it will definitely be cool because I can get back to hanging out with my friend Vested, who helped me do all those crazy things in the first place on our like Dragon versus Everything video. Not only that, every Tuesday is going to be a free day for the most part. I don't have a set schedule for that at the moment. I really will play anything on those days. It is going to vary. I probably do Smite most of the time on Tuesdays. Smite Tuesdays for a new series I'm going to be starting then. Be looking forward to that. Wednesdays are going to be Warframe Wednesdays, because I play Warframe like every day, and I want to include that to my game, to my channel too. And I did start a series on it, but I never finished it. So let's quickly do that. let's finish that up. Striker, pick up your pace. Anyway, also every Thursday is going to be Division Thursday, and every Friday, excluding this Friday because it will start next week, every Friday is going to be a live stream of Dishonored 2 until the game is done, and then it will be live stream Fridays. Saturday and Sunday are largely going to be randomized. I don't quite have a exact thing I'm going to be doing on those days, so keep that in mind. I might, if I do have a change in the schedule, I'll let you guys know. And I might set a game for Saturday or Sunday. However, right now, they are completely free. This weekend, Saturday and Sunday, will be Titanfall 2, so keep that in mind and keep out your eyes, because the game is going to be free to play, so new players are going to hop on, and that'll be fun. I might actually do an in-depth or analytical series on Titanfall 2. Let me know if you want to see that down in the comments below. That's my new upload recording schedule. Hopefully I'll stick to it. Worst comes to worst, it will just get me in the habit of uploading somewhat regularly for us, because right now I'm not uploading enough, and I can just tell, and it's just, I can just feel it, dude. I can feel that people just being pissed at me because they're so depressed with me because I'm not uploading regularly, and they're like, Striker, you make decent content. I subscribe for decent content regularly, not you to be like some pissy amateur that uploads when he wants, like Mr. Samster Games. Yes, I called you out as Samster Games. Anywho, that's all for today's video. If you did enjoy, please like and subscribe for more annoying ass, loud, obnoxious, fast content like this. I'll see you guys in the next video, and bye-bye.